So here's a fun fact. I avoided squats for 20 years because someone once told me knees over toes are going to destroy your knees. You know what actually destroys your knees? 20 years of not squatting. That does it. Welcome to Build for Health, where today we're talking about two joints that have been absolutely slandered by gym bros and physical therapists alike. That's right, your knees and your shoulders. I'm Pete Wright. With me, as always, is Srdjan, the man who has watched me discover that my body can, in fact, do things it was told not to. Let's get started. Why are knees and shoulders the joints everyone seems to hurt?
That's the most common injury that happen in the knees and shoulders I see all the time, because the shoulder, it's the most movable joint in the body, right? So no matter what you do at the gym, when you work out, no matter what muscle group, the shoulders are constantly moving. And people, when they have a bad form, bad posture, shoulders kick into everything. So it's kind of hard to keep them out of it. Like, people just don't know how to relax the neck, relax the shoulders, put them down. All this stuff. It comes because of the bad posture, after all. But then, that you work on them. That's why the form is so important.
I mean, I think you're talking about bad posture, but we're also talking about just kind of a modern movement deficit, right? Like, so much of it, what I hear is so much of the problems that we have are because we are generally static people.
Yes, especially because of the work that we do. Well, most people, we sit at the desk all day. We don't move around. We don't stretch enough. And it just kind of limits your mobility and flexibility and everything. So you kind of stiffen up, everything stiffens up, and we just need to get out, move around more, stretch a little bit more, and people will be fine. But we're so busy with everyday life that it's just hard to keep up. So yeah, find very hard to kind of retrain their brains to actually put them in the right form. So whenever they're actually in a right posture, it feels weird for them. They feel like they're standing like in a strange position.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, because there's an injury paradox, right? Like, people, they start to hurt, so they stop moving them, which makes them worse, right?
Yes.
And so I think we need to just talk through what is the difference between actual injury pain versus undertrained or weak pain.
Well, you'll definitely, that's why I always tell people, okay, listen to your body. Like, if it's really hurting, like if it's a bad pain and you feel like it's a sharp pain, that means, okay, maybe you need to stop.
Yeah.
But if it's that pain of soreness where the muscle is like fatigued now because it's weak and you're pushing it through, and you're kind of pushing your limit, you can do that, but you need to know when to stop and how far you can go. Plus, when you start, where people make most mistake is the exercises that they pick, because they're definitely, with every exercise, it doesn't matter what you do, every exercise comes with a certain level of risk for injury, right? Mm-hmm. So, you can't compare like doing deadlifts with the bicep curl. Of course, deadlifts, you have to be a lot more careful, and you can get hurt a lot easier than doing a bicep curl, right? But right. Even with the bicep curl, if you put too much weight, if your muscles stretched out really, and you try to pick, like I said, too much weight, you can easily hurt your bicep as well. You can tear the muscle. So there's danger to everything. So you kind of need to know when to be careful and not load up a lot of weight. And then there are certain exercises that I just keep out of it. It's like, It's just too risky, and it's not worth the risk. Because at a certain age, like, I've done some of those, and I've got hurt so many times, and I have some really bad injuries that I learned the hard way. But there are some exercises that I don't do at all, and from you looking at me, you can't tell what those exercises are, because there are so many different ways.
Forbidden exercises.
Yeah, so there's so many other ways that you can work out and develop that muscle without getting all too crazy with certain exercises. And I see people there at the gym all the time, and I always discuss those things and have those discussions with the people online on Instagram and Facebook and things like that are posting these things. And I'm like, I don't know if you should be telling that. There's a lot of experienced people that have sometimes problem, and I can definitely adjust, and I know when I'm doing it wrong, where regular people won't know, and they'll think maybe that's just how it's supposed to feel. I'm just going to keep going, and they hurt themselves.
Let's start with knees, and asking for a friend, right? Like I, as someone with a knee that's constantly agitated, the myths that I have heard are things like knees over toes is dangerous, and deep squats are bad for your knees. Those are some of the things I've heard floating around. So how do we build better knees?
Well, the squats are not bad, and you can have the knees over the toes. It's not that dangerous unless you're putting a lot of weight and you can't handle that much weight. Then, of course, it's going to put a lot of pressure on those knees, and most likely you're going to hurt yourself. But and those deep squats, they're not also bad for you. You can do it as long as you do it with the control. That's why with everything, and when we train, I always like take control over the weight, slow down. If you feel like you have no control, you should go lighter. So you should be in control all the time. If you're not, that's when you risk your body for injury. You can get hurt very easily. So you can have the knees over it's not bad. Sometimes it's actually good to train them that way. You do lighter weights and do more, be higher reps. But you got to make sure, last week when we talked about flexibility and mobility, that you have a good mobility when you do those squats. Don't go all the way deep squats if your mobility is poor, if your form is poor. Do not go past 90 degrees. Do not go into those deep squats. And, you'll notice sometimes you try to avoid certain exercises and you try to avoid like knees caving in. And you can see sometimes when people squat and when they go up, the knees kind of cave in and then they come back out. And it's like, okay, now that's
risky.
That's very risky for your knees. So you stop. So you lighter the weight. It's just people sometimes focus more on the weight than on the form and they get hurt. So there are some exercises that you should definitely kind of pay attention that could be bad for you, like those deep squats. Make sure that you're in full control, that you have the right mobility. If you can go lower, but then stop when you feel like now you're just putting too much pressure on your knees and your joints, and you're going to feel it. Then like knee extensions. Knee extensions can be actually very dangerous. You don't really need a lot of weight. And when you fully extend and you have a lot of weight and you lock those knees, all that pressure is going to pile up on that knee. And you can easily hurt yourself. One of the most dangerous that I've seen actually at the gym, people hyperextending and breaking their knees, is when they do heavy leg presses. So the leg press, you can load up a lot of weight on those leg presses, and people go crazy on those things. They put so much weight, and then when they try to go down and up, they will lock their knees. They're thinking they're going to rest, and as soon as they lock, it's way too much weight for your knees. Your joints are not meant for that. Muscles can take it, but then I'll watch them hyperextend and just break the knees. It would be one or two, and I'm witnessed that more than once, and it's not pleasant. It hurts like hell, I'm sure. Thank God I never had that injury. I had a different knee injury.
I can't even imagine it. Like it's one of those that I can see how you might get there because your muscles, you said it, your muscles can take it. So of course, if I'm just trying to rest a little bit, I'm going to rest comfortably in an extended position and snap.
Yeah, that's why
I don't care for
like,
that image.
Yeah, that's why I always tell. I was like, stop locking your joints. Stop locking your joints when you have a lot of weight. Let that weight, be on your muscle. Let the muscle take over that. Not your joint. Joints are not meant to hold up that much weight. So it's like
walk me through the muscle groups that we're focusing on to build stable knee and strong knees.
Well, you have to have strong like quads and hamstrings and also glutes in certain. So you have to have a good hip mobility and good flexibility, and just work on different things. Like you don't always have to be on the machines and do like extensions, like curls and like on a leg press. But if you do some like off balance stuff. So you can actually work on your stabilizing muscles. It will help in the long run. So you have to work on all of them, on everything and slowly work your way up. So do a slow progress where you're going to, increase the weight. So just, it's really dangerous. You want to be safe and be able to come back next week and do it again, instead of, but these things can be really bad for your knees, but doesn't mean don't do them. You just got to be careful when you do them, and people load up a lot of weight. That's most of the reason why those injuries happen, because they don't have the control. They put too much weight. They lock the joints, and the joints will just break. It doesn't matter how strong your quads are. It doesn't matter how strong your glutes and hamstrings. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Like it seems like there are so many other stabilizer muscles in there that when we think about working our legs, I think the default stereotype is, curls and extensions and, squats, I guess. But you think of all the other little muscles around your core, your glutes, like all these little groups that I'm help to stabilize your knee, particularly in extended position.
Yeah. That's why, when it comes to all those squatting and deadlifting, all you need to know is just train that hip strength, with the glutes and hamstrings. Don't let the knee cave inward. Use the ranges of motion that you can control. Progress load slowly. And don't go to the extremes. And, where you have to worry too much, are my knees over the toes or not. Just go with what body tells you, right? You listen to your body. If something hurts, stop. Because my leg workout is completely different from somebody else, from normal people, because I have really bad knees. I have no cartilage in my knee, and I have 2 screws in my tibia because I had a broken tibia. And so now it's like bone to bone, no cartilage. So I have to be really careful. All my workouts, they hurt, but there is a pain that I know, the pain that I can tolerate, and some pain that I should not tolerate. And when my tail tells to stop, I stop.
Yeah, like what does it feel like when you know to stop? Describe that pain.
It almost comes to the failure where I can't even keep my leg up, or where I can't even stand on my knee. Like that shouldn't happen. Like as soon as I feel a little bit more pain in my knee, I'm like, okay, this is not just like kind of uncomfortable, and just because I know it's bone to bone. This is like, okay, now it's really painful. That's going to create inflammation, and I should stop.
Yeah.
But if it feels a little bit, it kind of like when you start working out and you're not warmed up and you feel your joints a little bit, it's like, I don't really have that blood flow yet, so it feels a little stiff. That's kind of how it feels for me the whole time. And
okay, that's every day, all day.
That's like I can tolerate, and then I know, because I have a bad knee, so nothing I do can change that. It's always going to be like that. So nothing that I can put on the knee sleeves and all that stuff that people use, it's not going to magically create cartilage, in my knee. It's just not there. It's bone to bone. So no matter what you do, you just have to now be careful and make sure that I'm not locking my knees. I'm not putting a lot of weight. But then, I'm challenged now. How do I get my muscles to grow? How do I get most out of my quads and, hamstring glutes without actually loading up a lot of weights?
Well, and to what extent does having a more robust sort of leg, knee muscle system help compensate for the fact that it's cartilage free, right? Like having stronger glutes and quads and hamstrings have to help a little bit.
Yeah, but that's why I also, when I work on them, I got to make sure that they're both balanced, because muscle imbalance can also cause pain in your joints. Sometimes the joint is fine. There's nothing wrong with the joint. It's just there's a muscle imbalance. So one side is pulling more than the other. Sometimes that's the problem. Just because you feel the pain in a certain area doesn't mean that that's what's wrong. That's where the problem's coming, the source of the problem. So the problem can be somewhere else, but it's affecting that area. So you just need to know and go to someone and talk to somebody who knows.
In the spirit of head, shoulder, knees, and toes, in the reverse direction, we're going to move up to shoulders, which are they seem to me like a more complicated joint than the knee.
Yes, because there's so many things that are connected on that. so many other muscle groups, and they move all the time. And you have those rotator cuffs that are supposed to keep your ball inside the socket secure and in place. And people tear those all the time. When I was younger, I tore all my rotator cuffs at the same time in both shoulders.
How did you possibly do that?
There's one exercise that I did that I didn't know. Like I told you, like every exercise has its own risk. And I picked the most dangerous exercise, and I put a lot of weight. I felt great. My shoulders are warm. I didn't really know much back then when I was younger, and I lifted a lot of weight. Didn't even feel it when I tore them up. I thought I had a great workout. Next morning, I woke up. I can't move my arm. Neither one of them. They're not moving at all. I thought I just broke everything. It was just like, it was crazy. And then once I talked to my specialist, we went through every single exercise that I did, and we found out which one I did that actually tore all my shoulders. And now I don't do them. I don't even recommend to my clients. They don't even know about the exercise because I never even have them do it.
We're not gonna talk about it again.
Well,
here.
I'll tell them. And there's a lot of people that are like, well, if you're doing it right, well, yeah, if I did it right and I didn't put a lot of weight, see, that's how you learn from your mistakes.
Right.
That's why now people come to me, and so I know how to keep them safe. You know, it's the upright rows. Those are when you go with the very narrow grip upright rows, and you lift straight up above your shoulders. Yeah, and you keep it close to your body and go up. It's creating so much rotation in your shoulder. And then when you have that much weight, your rotator cuffs are not meant to hold that much weight. And when the ball kind of rotates inside that socket, they start catching on each other. It just starts ripping them because their job is just to keep that ball inside the socket, keep them stable. So it caused the shoulder impingement. And every time elbow goes above the shoulder and you put a lot of weight, it can really tore all those ligaments. Okay. So I tore all of them. And it feels uncomfortable. Like also, it's so I don't ever do those. And I have fine shoulders, like people can't even tell when I tell them I haven't done that exercise in years. They're kind of shocked, like, what do you do? I'm like, there's so many things I do. But that one, I don't do. There's so many other things that I don't do now that I have a bad shoulders. I mean, they're okay now, but it's so easily now. I can get them injured so easily because once you hear them once, it's just, they're almost never the same. Those joints, when you hear them once, that's why I'm like, try to keep them safe right away. Because once you get hurt and you do any kind, even if you don't do surgery and you go like a rehab and they give you some injection, maybe it feels like they're never the same. So make sure when you do shoulders, knees, whatever, just make sure you warm up. You do all the exercise that you would do at physical therapy, even if they're fine and you recovered and all that stuff. Warm them up. Do those therapy stuff. Use it as a warm up, and then slightly go into the exercises and don't go right away heavy until you get some blood flow. But that's the most dangerous about shoulders. Sometimes you'll get them ripped and you'll hurt yourself without even knowing. You won't even feel it. That's the worst. So whenever I see my clients like forcing it when it comes to shoulders, also when they do like shoulder presses, stuff like anything over the head, you have to be careful. And if I see they're really struggling, I'm like, okay, you need to stop, because even if you hurt yourself, you're not going to know. So don't need to go that far. So, and I see the people like, we should do like the overhead press when they do behind the necks and all that stuff. I'm like,
behind the necks always, because that's not a natural movement.
No, those, and then also the heavy lateral raises with the poor forearm, and then they're using that momentum, and it shifts all that stress to the tendons, and that the internal rotation, any kind of rotation, that when you have a lot of weight, no matter what you're doing, even if you're not doing shoulders, if you're doing just chest, like a bench or anything, if you have a lot of weight, try to limit the rotation of your shoulders, because the rotator cuffs, they're going to be involved. They're not meant for that much weight. So limit the rotation. If you go lighter weight, you can rotate your shoulders, you can warm up, move them all around, because they should be able and they're capable of moving in every direction. But when you load up a lot of weight, that's when you have to be careful about the rotation. So knowing the form.
Mm-hmm.
It's crucial. But the shoulders, it can be a problem.
Well, I mean, it's I don't know. I do you think of it in terms of we need to have a rotator cuff day? Like we're going to be working not on shoulders, but on the stabilizing muscles around your rotator cuff.
Yeah, strengthening those rotator cuffs and then working on the front delt, mid delt, rear delt, making sure that they're strong enough, and then warming up the rotator cuffs, strengthening those as well. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do that physical therapy does with the resistance bands, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's how I do it. Warming up both my shoulders, even when I don't have any injury, because I want to avoid any injury. So in case if, the weight is too heavy and I'm like putting it back where it just pulls me one side or another, just make sure that I'm safe. But also very careful when I do anything above the head. Like I said, that behind the neck press.
Mm-hmm.
So because it's a extreme shoulder external rotation plus adding the abduction, it just puts a heavy stress on that rotator cuff, and it narrows that what they call subchrominal space. That's increasing the impingement.
What is the subchrominal space?
Yeah, so it requires really excellent mobility in the shoulder.
Yeah,
and also the mobility in your thoracic spine and wrist, everything, because you're going over the head. So everything else is going to take a lot of stress. And most people don't have that mobility and that strength. And then, of course, error under load can lead to lumbarum tears and rotator cuff strains and chronic impingements and all kinds of stuff. So it really careful when you do anything over the neck. When it's the press, shoulder presses, make sure they, because I see all the people do things behind the neck, and I just want to kind of ask them, I'm like, well, what are you specifically working on? Why behind the neck? And like, most people have no answer to that. They just see other people do it, and they're like, okay, maybe I should try that. I'm like, don't. If it doesn't make sense to you, don't do it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So
let's walk through just some red flags versus yellow flags, kind of bringing it back around to where we started, because I hear people who say, look, I've been feeling some aches in my shoulder, so I'm gonna rest. But aches in the shoulder might not be related to a deep injury. It could be related to not using it very much. So how do you know when you, for both the knees and the shoulders, when do you raise a red flag versus, we can train through this? What do you see?
Well, if it's really hurting, even on my rest day, when I can, if I'm driving and I keep my hand on the steering wheel and it hurts still, I'm like, okay, it's not supposed to hurt right now. So I usually, what I do is I go see my chiropractor. He treats the shoulder. But even like my chiropractor always never tells me like, don't do anything, just rest. He will say, still go to the gym, do your workout, but you do light weights. You do very light, go 15, 20 reps. So because, moving the shoulder and all that, it creates the blood flow. It gets through the muscle, and then that's how the muscle heals, right? And you can't just not do anything. It'll just stay like that.
Yeah.
So, and then
that's important to know, to remember when you're hurting.
Exactly. Because I was hurting so many times and I was like, oh, maybe I should rest. And he was like, no, I want you to go do your workout. Now that we're done, like definitely do it. Go light, go what you can do, and just don't push it, don't force it. That's why we say don't force anything, but still working on it. And it does help. Eventually, the muscle will start responding to it. It will heal and it'll start getting stronger. And then the pain will go away. But, people just don't like any kind of pain. As soon as they feel something, oh my gosh, I should just rest and not do anything. Well, that's the problem. Then the pain is just going to stay there. But, if there's not that much pain and just kind of uncomfortable feeling, and, if it just feels like sore and tight and all that stuff, it's okay. Just go light, move your shoulders, even knees. Like if you can do some squatting, and you don't have to do deep squatting. You don't have to do, load up the barbell, and you can grab the TRX and just do the body weight, but move, constantly move. Just don't stay still. after that, after you're done, you can, put some ice on it to help with the inflammation and do the recovery stuff. But just because you start feeling pain doesn't mean to ignore and just rest, because rest, yes, important, the recovery, but you have to move those muscles again in order for them to heal.
And heat or ice?
Well, if there's inflammation, and especially if you feel it's swollen, then yeah, definitely ice. You need to put that down. But a lot of times, if it's not inflamed at all, I'll put hot pad and I'll use the red light therapy, and it's kind of nice and warm and heats up. It creates the blood flow, and that's what helps. So It depends if it's inflamed and if you feel like it's swollen, or right after the workout. I like to put ice on my knees.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps just in case. Sometimes you won't see the inflammation that's inside, So put the ice on your joints for a little bit, 20 minutes. No need more than that, especially if you see if it's swollen. Sometimes I have my knee swollen next morning, but put the ice, goes down. I go back again. And back
to it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Knees and shoulders. Be careful out there, everybody.
Yes. Proper form.
You don't want to
please.
mess this up. Proper form, lighter weight. It's okay. It's okay. All right. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out and listening. We appreciate your time and your attention. Don't forget, send us questions. Scroll up in the show notes there. There's a link right there. There's a button on the website. You can push the button, and it will allow you to send us a question. We are looking forward to more questions coming in for our next listener question episode. And until next week, I'm Pete Wright with Srdjan Ignatz, and we'll see you at the gym.